Good deal. Welcome to ACIM Talks with Reverend Jim. It is Monday, January 27th, 2025. And I hope you can tell I'm in a good mood today for no damn reason. So,
well, who needs a reason?
Precisely. And so it's just kind of a overwhelming good mood without any specificity, and just kind of loving this moment and trying to get as much joy and exhilaration out of this moment as I can possibly get. So no matter what happens next, I sucked up all I could, as much as I could. So I don't know how you feel about that approach, but hey, if I'm going out and it's not good, then I sucked up all the good I could while I was here. We off to a good start, my friends.
Yes.
Everybody doing well. Comments, questions, criticism. Wait. Here's a pleasant surprise.
Oh,
Is it D? Oh, I hope that's her. Let's see.
yes, there she is.
Wow. What a pleasant surprise.
I guess I made it after. I really wasn't sure. So
Oh, well,
glad to be here.
Yeah. May I ask, was this a New York type of trip or something else?
Oh, no trip.
Oh, okay.
No trip. I'm local.
Well, good. I'm glad you could join us, Dee. You are right on time. I thought, let's just delve into our studies tonight. I think you'll find it of value. We finally made it to the last section of chapter 12, the Holy Spirit's curriculum. And it's been a fairly long chapter, but heck, all of them are going to be long at the pace that we're doing them. But you'll be kind of maybe glad to know that this is the last section. It's on page 233 in the text. And this is the last section of chapter 12. And when we finish this, our next Oracle text reading from group 3, remember we selected these back in the summer of 2023. No, 20, I forgot, 23 or 24. But after chapter 12, we'll be on chapter 14. What's the title of that? Is Teaching for Truth. So let's plunge into this last chapter, the attraction of love for love. Let's see, Sherilyn, would you be reader 1? And Ron is 2, Joan is 3, Dee will be 4, and I'll be reader 5. And let's just get into it. Shall we start?
Yeah.
Okay, I had to get my glasses.
Oh, no problem.
Okay, here we go. Chapter 8, the attraction of love for love. Do you really believe that you can kill the Son of God? The Father has hidden his Son safely within himself and kept him far away from your destructive thoughts, but you know neither the Father nor the Son because of them. You attack the real world every day and every hour and every minute, and yet you are surprised that you cannot see it. If you seek love in order to attack it, you will never find it. For if love is sharing, how can you find it except through itself? Offer it, and it will come to you, because it is drawn to itself. But offer attack, and love will remain hidden, for it can live only in peace.
Yeah. Ron, paragraph 2.
God, excuse me, God's Son is as safe as his Father, for the Son knows his Father's protection and cannot fear. His Father's love holds him in perfect peace and needing nothing. He asks for nothing, yet he is far from you whose self, capital S, he is, for you choose to attack him, and he disappeared from your sight into his Father. He did not change, but you did. For a split mind and all its worth were not created by the Father and could not live in the knowledge of him.
All right. Thank you, Ron. And thank you, Cheryl. And
You're
we've got
welcome.
2 paragraphs. Hey, Kathleen, how are you?
Good. How about you?
Hey,
Hi,
I'm
Kathleen.
still amongst the living, so there's still a chance at any moment the miracle will complete itself
There you go.
and all my dreams will come true. I'm in pretty good shape. Welcome. We are on the last section in chapter 12. We're on page 230. Well, we just finished 233. And we're in that section, the attraction of love for love. So we read 2 paragraphs. What do y'all want to bring out about those 2 paragraphs? Yeah. All right, well, here we go. Let's just start easy. What about the first paragraph? Is the first sentence is a question, right?
Yes.
So let's start there. What's your answer to that question? Do you really believe you can kill the Son of God?
No.
No.
So, what is the outcome of your continuing to try that? What are you gonna get out of trying to kill the Son of God? How do you see its ultimate outcome? The attack on God. How's that gonna work out for you?
Not good.
It'll continue to keep you separate.
Not good, right?
Right.
So why would you persist? That is what is that insane
It
to
is.
try to persist in something that you admit is unobtainable?
Mhm.
You cannot kill the Son of God. Now, what's that got to do with salvation?
Everything. I mean,
Go ahead. Yes, ma'am.
if I can't kill what I really am, that is salvation.
And why would you want to?
Kill the Son of God? Kill what I am?
Why? Yeah, why?
Well, the ego wants to be the one in charge.
What? Why would the ego want to do it?
It wants to
it's-
be God.
Okay. All right, let's say it wants to be God. Now, what we're going to try and appeal to the ego is, can you do that?
No.
The ego says, of course I can. Watch. Let me show you. I'm on my way. It's still in progress. Just give it a little more time. I'm still working on it. Why would that be the ego's response to the question, can you really kill the Son of God? Why would the ego say yes?
Because if it says no, then it's killed. It's gone.
All right, here. Because the ego's insane.
Yeah.
It does not have the capacity for reason. It's not reasonable. Why isn't it reasonable? Because it's committed to insanity.
Yes.
That this can be accomplished. Now, even Jim knows that if we read it and ask the question to Jim, but Jim can't manage his ego to be reasonable.
Right.
So what I'm going to have to do is let my ego be itself. That has some benefit here in level 2. Keep it quiet. Remember, its range is suspicious to vicious. Yes?
Yes.
Understand that. So just try and keep it calm as much as you can and be aware when it starts to rear and jump its ugly head for power. Because, you can't really kill a Son of God. I can't convince my ego of this. It does not have the capacity to understand it. It was made out of insanity. That's why it's insane. But my ego is not me. So lovingly, what am I to do with that ego that I can't really get rid of? Maybe I can convert it into something. I can use it, not convert it, but maybe I can use it for something. All right, I don't have to try and attack and destroy it, because the paradox of attack is that you make it real. You actually give it strength by attacking it. So what we're going to do is have our feet in 2 worlds. but we're gonna let the Holy Spirit manage it. That was a decision. And I guess what it comes down to is the Holy Spirit real or the ego real? Choose. Because having antithetical ends can never make sense. You're trying to manage two things that cannot ever go together. The Holy Spirit knows my ego does not even have that capacity. Are you following what I'm saying?
Mhm.
I'm not sure I
I'm
am.
not bad at it. It is what it is.
Mhm.
But I'm not going to give it the function of being me. I can override it.
Rona and Marty
I can manage it well. And if I can manage it well, it can be used to help me toward my purpose. Because I have to walk in two spheres, two levels, level 1 and level 2.
Do we manage it well by not believing in it?
I use it, but I don't believe in it.
Right.
I
Okay.
use it to match up with the dream activities. Again, so I don't bump into trees, so
Mhm.
I don't wreck my car, so I keep my appointments, so I respect where my brothers and sisters are. So I have an ego that can interact and have empathy with their egos. I can feel their pain. I can offer, that's why I can offer compassion. You see, my ego feels that same pain. So I'm able to save from within the trenches. But that's what I use my ego for. That's what I'm trying to get to. Uh, but I'm not an ego. So my ego attacks, I don't. So I manage my ego. I don't let it manage me the way that it used to, you see. But this whole discussion, you didn't know we'd get that much out of the first paragraph, did you?
No.
This whole discussion starts out with every other problem has come from this premise: the impossible cannot happen. Did we leave off here last week? Joan, why can't the impossible happen? Let's you.
Why can't it happen?
Why
Because
can't the
it
impossible happen?
it never did happen. There was no separation.
Why? Because it's impossible. You follow?
Mhm.
It's the same as, do you really believe that you can make something in opposition to God's Son?
Mhm.
So if you answer no, how does that change your world? How does that change you? Can you see yourself as weak? If you're God's son, How can you be weak? I, I mean, I'm not, it's not complicated.
We can only be weak by not knowing that, not believing the truth.
Yes. And so do you see how that turns your whole world 180 degrees? I am not the victim of the world I see. I invented the world I see. Then how do I manage the world I see? By inventing something else or changing how I see it. There are only two ways of seeing, through truth or illusion. So the presence of one automatically blocks out the presence of the other. But that's why the allegiance has to be true to one or the other, or it won't seem to work. When I say it doesn't work, it's because I'm still on the path. It'll work if you work it, but does that mean work it by degrees? Yeah, that's the best we can do. But we have to have faith in the degree process to where we give its due as often as you can. And that'll get to be more and more with practice. Now, do you have to go to church for this?
No,
Paragraph 2. God's son is as safe as his father, for the son knows his father's protection and cannot fear. Let me just offer this summary. I looked at these two paragraphs a little earlier. It reminded me of at home in God, dreaming of exile. You've heard me talk about that from chapter 10 in the course. But the point is that, like when it said, do you really believe you can kill the Son of God? The Father has hidden his Son safely within himself and kept him far away from your destructive thoughts, because you're dreaming. You're safe at home and far away from any effects of these mistaken thoughts. That's the other thing about it, is we're safe at home having these hallucinations that are hurting us because they are not true. There's no other reason for the hurt except that's the consequences of false. Let's hear from you.
Well, what is constant and never changing. And so no matter what dance we do on this earth plane, it's not going to change the constant. It's not going to change what is real. So you could be as crazy as you want to be, but it's not going to affect the outcome. It's just going to make your life on your life on earth quite interesting.
And in whatever form of it, these universal laws apply.
Right.
Falsity is not true. So when the falsity is a mockery of creation. It's not attacking creation. It simply can't stand. It's going to be ephemeral, temporary.
Right.
And who can have faith in the temporary?
The insane.
Yeah. Or I'll fix the impossible better next time. It would rather do that and convince us of that than to simply ever give in to the truth. You cannot reason with it. It was born of insanity. There is no reason in it. It will substitute, it will lie, cajole, not be true to itself because it has no true self. Shall we? Other comments?
And the insane can't see that it's insane.
Precisely. You know, I was telling Sherilyn before we started, on Tuesday, Dee, we're in the psychotherapy and the song of prayer. And I have been led to do a little more prep for psychotherapy. And I'm so glad because I kind of miss all those years I spent where reading the course was a part of my everyday life. And the second thing is, just like the rest of the course, I find myself learning so much more about psychotherapy than even last year, the first time I went through it.
Oh, that's nice. No, I didn't know you're doing it. That's great.
Yeah. And so your comments just now, God, I forgot what they even were, but it just reminded me of something similar in the psychotherapy section I looked at.
Yeah, my comment was the insane don't know that it's insane.
Okay. And again, Sadhguru would say, in the insane asylum, all the patients think the doctor's crazy.
Right.
Right?
Yeah,
Why would it
absolutely.
be? How could it be otherwise, right? So what you'll see, if on Tuesday night we're talking, the big point was that the biggest challenge for a psychotherapist or a teacher of God is never attack in any form. Your therapy cannot include attack in any form. So, if you have prejudices of your own and they come into play during those sessions, it can be harmful to the patient. So you have to hold yourself within, even when your ego wants to act out. Anyhow, I digress, which is not unusual, right?
Right.
Shall we move on? Joe, we're up to you, my friend. And are we at paragraph 3?
Yes.
Yes, okay.
All right.
When you made visible what is not true, what is true became invisible to you. Yet it cannot be invisible in itself, for the Holy Spirit sees it with perfect clarity. It is invisible to you because you are looking at something else. Yet it is no more up to you to decide what is visible and what is invisible than it is up to you to decide what reality is. What can be seen is what the Holy Spirit sees. The definition of reality is God's, not yours. He created it, and He knows what it is. You who knew have forgotten. And unless He has given you a way to remember, you would have condemned yourself to oblivion. Mhm.
Let's go on to 4D.
Because of your Father's love, you can never forget him, for no one could forget what God himself placed in his memory. You could deny it, but you cannot lose it. A voice will answer every question you ask, and a vision will correct the perception of everything you see. For what you have made invisible is the only truth, and what you have not heard is the only answer. God is the only answer. God would reunite you with yourself and did not abandon you in your distress. You are waiting only for him and do not know it. Yet his memory shines in your mind and cannot be obliterated. It is no more past than future, being forever, always.
So both of these paragraphs, look at page 103 in the text. I go to that quite often, and it reminded me, it's in paragraph 12. We've talked about it before. And it talks about, bottom line, is that the separation, I'm in sentence 5, the separation was not a loss of perfection, but a failure in communication. What happened was a harsh and strident form of communication arose as the ego's voice. It could not shatter the peace of God, but it could shatter yours. So here's what God did about it. God did not blot it out, because to eradicate it would be to attack it. Being questioned, God did not question. He merely gave the answer, capital A. The answer, capital A, is your teacher, capital T. Do you see that referred to? We're back in our reading on page 234. Do you see that referred to the answer? Okay, so it says in paragraph 4, yet his memory shines in your mind and cannot be obliterated. And to go back up to rather sentence 4, for what you have made invisible is the only truth, and what you have not heard is really the only answer. Now, if this is the only answer, when do you estimate you'll find another one?
Never.
Why do you persist in not hearing the answer that was put in there immediately at this thought of the tiny mad idea back on page 102? God did not attempt to blot it out, for to do that would be to attack it. So God did not question, he gave the answer. The answer is your teacher. Why do you persist in not hearing the only answer. What is it that would make you persist in not running to it immediately? It
Replaying
starts
that tiny man idea over and over again.
in the thought system of the ego that it will never give up because it does not have the capacity for reason. You cannot accommodate it into your plans. You can only make it a part of your plan. It is not reasonable. You will not succeed in changing its behavior by appealing with reason. It's insane. It will protect its insanity against all reason. The only solution is to let it go. I didn't say attack it. I'm saying just don't listen to it because it doesn't know what it's talking about. When I had the tiny mad idea, I could not get away from the love of God. So every part has that spark in it. That is the only answer. It's the capital A answer. Why would you seek further for the only answer? It starts with an E.
Ego.
Anything else you're seeing? We're on 3 and 4, aren't we?
Mhm.
Mhm.
Okay. I'm talking too much. Yeah. All right, Joan, come on. What are your insights so far?
Um, I still have, God did not create the tiny mad idea, but how did it come into existence? God had to know it came into existence, but is it
God allowed it to be made and
God allowed it?
anticipated that it would be made.
Mhm.
Maybe part of a training simulation. You know about technology and techniques and things like that, right?
Not very much.
You sure we're not part of an experiment?
Of an
You don't know, do
experiment.
you? Huh?
Mhm. Um, so the ego didn't appear out of nothing. Um, in the beginning, all was God. So who had the tiny mad idea? Did God have the tiny mad idea?
No. God had the plan for perfecting his children. He wanted them to accept themselves because they wanted to be that not because they were, you have to be what I say you are, but you have to be what I say you are because I love you. Don't you see how much I care about you? If not, why would I create you in such a loving way that you are an extension of love itself? What did you think I was trying to do? I mean, does that make sense to you that if I'm loving, I would just be sending out love? What do you think I'd be sending out? As a matter of fact, how is it possible I could be sending out anything but that? You know, Wayne Dyer, he used to say, if you cut into an orange and squeeze it, what comes out of it?
Orange juice.
Juice.
Not
Orange
grape
juice.
juice?
Yes.
So I love you, but you have to see that for yourself and accept that for yourself. Because that's the kind of creation you are. You have to know for yourself what you are, and I have to give you the opportunity to know it. Well, how do you know it for yourself? By knowing it once again. How can I get them to accept it of their own volition? Because they could do and be whatever, right? But the fail safe is this: when you leave love, you get the consequences of the loss. Who, who, would, who would want to leave love?
Be a crazy person.
The what, dear?
A crazy person, an insane person.
Okay. So separate heavens sounded appealing, but there was not wise consideration of the consequences. Jones said, God is omniscient, so God should have known this whole thing, right? God did. And what would love's outcome be of the experiment?
Mm.
You come home and love it. Oh boy, there's no place like home. I'm not leaving again. Oh, you see, would you say the whole thing's a lesson
Yes.
and safely carried out through a hallucination? Because we wake up and we'll put that silly notion out of our head because we'll know, nope, that don't work. We'd be wiser for the experiment, right? So, Joan, could you see yourself as part of a grand experiment?
That'll take some pondering.
What are you going to use to ponder it?
What am I going to
We'll talk
use?
to the Holy Spirit about it
Yes.
or if you're gonna do some pondering, make sure
Mhm.
you work with the right counsel as you consider. Sherilyn, you're quiet. Ron, I'm coming to you.
If we're coming from our ego, then we create whatever we choose to create. The ego creates. It's not real. It's not true. So we can experiment with the ego.
Yes.
We don't
Yes.
experiment with the Holy Spirit, with our spiritual part, with God, because there's only one truth there.
Yeah. You're working with the right stuff.
Right.
You can't do it if you're working with the wrong stuff. So everything comes back down to a choice, but remember, you can't serve two masters or you'll end up just canceling yourself out or blowing your head off, or it'll be meaningless. You'll be the quote unquote loser in any attempt to serve two masters that are teaching you from totally opposing thought systems. Does that make sense to you?
Mhm.
Mhm.
So, like it or not, you got to seriously choose. Sherilyn, your comments, and then let's finish up with Kathleen before we move on.
Well, I'm just kind of lost, I guess, at the moment.
Okay.
Um, I'm gonna have to sit down by myself and really go over this again.
Okay, and just again, the reminder, uh, what are you going to use to go over it again with?
Well, I'm going to
What will
use
you
my,
use? Pardon?
I hope I'm going to get into my,
Try meditation or something like that. Maybe consider it during
maybe,
those
maybe,
times. Just a reminder now, if you're going to think about it, don't forget it matters whose counsel you use in thinking, because there are two.
yes.
Okay, at least in our split minds. Kathleen, any comments from you, my friend?
I keep going back to page 103 where it says, the separation was not a loss of perfection, but a
Hello.
failure in communication.
Yeah.
That's the key. For me, that's the key. And
Okay.
a harsh and strident form of communication arose as the ego's voice. So it wasn't that perfection was lost, it's that somewhere along the way,
You got
insanity crept in, so the communication got all screwed up.
okay.
So basically what we're learning to do is to change the way we communicate with ourselves so that we can see that nothing has changed.
Yeah, something got in the way.
Yeah,
What
yeah,
got in the way of communication was the tiny mad idea of separation from oneness.
exactly.
Separation makes oneness weak because of the synergistic effect of joining together. There is a phenomenon of synergistic effect, like two tend to be two together with a unified goal naturally produce more power than either one alone. 10 plus 10 produces more power than only 10. if they have unified goals. So when we get more and more that join with the Holy Spirit, there's a synergistic effect, an exponential change that is more powerful than what we can do in our best performances alone. Now, I didn't make those laws. They're universal laws.
Mhm.
Who would go against them? It starts with an E.
Ego.
All right. I didn't mean to give anybody a headache here tonight or anything. We've got a little more time. Dee, did you just?
I
Dee,
finished.
yes. So we're up to Kathleen and paragraph. Ooh, where are?
5.
What?
Five.
5.
Thank you.
Paragraph 5?
I lost my page there. Okay. Thank you.
You have but to ask for this memory, and you will remember. Yet the memory of God cannot shine in a mind that has obliterated it and wants to keep it so. For the memory of God can dawn only in a mind that chooses to remember, and that has not relinquished the insane desire to control reality. You who cannot even control yourself should hardly aspire to control the universe. But look upon what you have made of it and rejoice that it is not so.
Yep. He says, if I had left it up to you, you would have destroyed yourself. That is the grace of God. I love you. I can't let you destroy yourself. Okay, I can let you wander off and gain the wisdom from doing your thing, but it was always to bring you back home. The whole thing was designed to help you to come home and stay home of your own volition. Isn't that what love would do? And I put the whole thing in the dream, so it was the safest place I could think of for you to learn this. Don't you see how much I care for you? I'm reader 6. No, I'm Kathleen, did you get to read?
Yep, I just read 5, so you're up for 6.
On mine. Okay. 6. Son of God, be not content with nothing. What is not real cannot be seen and has no value. God could not offer his son what has no value, nor could his son receive it. You were redeemed the instant you thought you had deserted him. Everything you made has never been and is invisible because the Holy Spirit does not see it. Yet what he does see is yours to behold, and through his vision, your perception is healed. You have made invisible the only truth that this world holds. Valuing nothing, you have sought nothing. By making nothing real to you, you have seen it. But it is not there. And Christ is invisible to you because of what you have made visible to yourself. Uh, let's comment on that, and then we'll do the last two paragraphs. Anything you do you really think you can change the truth? And if you knew what the truth was, why would you try to change it? Why? See, this never occurred to me till I started studies like this, right? Because what if this is a simulation? What if it is a lesson? What if it is all a dream? And what if it is for my good? Would you be afraid of anything that happens?
No.
Would you allow things to happen? Lesson 268 says, let all things be exactly as they are. Gee, Paul in the book of Romans is, at any rate, let the thing unfold. It's for your good. It's a plan. It'll have the ups and downs that you put into it. But even the ups and downs, it won't destroy what you put into it. It'll just adjust to what you put into it. So if you put in a lot of misery and pain, that's up to you. It will adjust to your misery and pain so that even the misery and pain will give you lessons and growth, which ultimately will be the way out. So you can take the gentle way or you can take the hard way. Those are your choices, but the result has already happened. I took care of it. I gave the answer. So along with the split, the answer was in every particle of the split. The way to restore wholeness was the oversight of the Holy Spirit. He knows how to do this, and in fact will do it. Just how long will you think you can still kill the Son of God? That's my comment. What about yours on 6? All right, so if we're gonna run right along, let's try and finish this if you don't mind. We're back to Sherilyn for paragraph 7.
Yet it does not matter how much distance you have tried to interpose between your awareness and truth. God's Son can be seen because his vision is shared. The Holy Spirit looks upon him and sees nothing else in you. What is invisible to you is perfect in his sight and encompasses all of it. He has remembered you because he forgot not the Father. You looked upon the unreal and found despair. Yet by seeking the unreal,
Mm.
I'm sorry, my glasses are. Yet by seeking the unreal, what else could you find? The unreal world is a thing of despair, for it can never be. And you who share God's being with him could never be content without reality. What God did not give you has no power over you, and the attraction of love for love remains irresistible. For it is the function of love to unite all things unto itself and to hold all things together by extending its wholeness.
Thank you. And let's go to Ron.
The real world was given you by God in loving exchange for the world you made and the world you see. Only take it from the hand of Christ and look upon it. Its reality will make everything else invisible, for beholding it is total perception. And as you look upon it, you will remember that it was always so. Nothingness will become invisible, for you will at last have seen truly. Redeemed perception is easily translated into knowledge. For only perception is capable of error, and perception has never been. Being corrected, it gives place to knowledge, which is forever the only reality. The atonement is but the way back to what was never lost. Your Father could not cease to love his Son.
Thanks, Ron. So is this making sense? Compelling? Powerful? Uh, does he make a good case for what the problem and solutions are? The first thing I'm doing is saying, thank goodness this isn't real. That puts it into a whole different sphere right there that makes me exhale a little bit.
Well, that's kind of like the fun part of the whole thing is it's not real. So you can get as wild as you want and it's still not real. But you can learn from being, you can use it as a way to awaken yourself,
Yeah.
to bring back into your forefront what is real and what is not real.
That was the plan.
Yeah.
But it's not to mitigate what it's like day by day in my humanness
Yeah.
and to see the apparent tragedy and fears that all of this sort of thinking has wrought to
Oh,
where
yeah.
even we did not even see ourselves as part of the planet. And it's getting to where we've exploited the dynamics of its function, even inadvertent, because we thought it was all about us. Even there, we didn't see with the broad vision of looking at the whole, of seeing clearly. We saw the earth as just kind of a means to an end, right?
Mm.
Now we're starting to see maybe we have impacted even something that large.
Mhm.
We are, in our innocence and ignorance, extremely destructive. Thank goodness it didn't really happen.
Mm.
Right?
Right.
You wouldn't really want to be like that, would you?
Mm.
Who is it that would? Who is it that wouldn't care about that? Starts with an E. Who is it that's that reckless and has no real consideration, no real heart, no real caring for the whole?
The
And the
ego.
ego doesn't
Ego.
care.
Okay. So do you see how when we started out these studies, whether it's ACIM Talks or A Course in Miracles, and we first heard about the tiny mad idea of separation, we said, well, something that small couldn't possibly cause this much problem and chaos. But that's the whole problem. Do you really think you can kill what God made and change it from being what God made it to be? That's insane. But you didn't see the impact of that possibly when we first mentioned it. But didn't it hit the nail on the head? Okay. We finished, right?
Right.
All right. I got something out of it. Of course, a lot of you have been through this chapter before, but I hope you enjoyed it. There's an awful lot here. It had like 8 sections and excuse me, took us a little while to cover, but I won't take any more of your time. I hope you thought it was a good session,
It
and
was great. Thank you.
yeah,
Mhm.
Where are we
and
starting next time? I'm not in 2 weeks. What chapter are we going to go to?
chapter 14.
14.
14.
What is it?
Thank.
Conditions for Truth or something like
Mhm.
Okay.
Teaching
Yeah.
for
Thank
truth.
you.
14. So next week we'll be back in Unity and ACIM, and I don't know. I think these sessions are productive, and I'm getting more out of them than I thought I would. But I shouldn't be surprised because you learn what you teach, right?
Mhm.
Yes.
All right. Anything else tonight?
Thank you very
Thank
much.
you.
Yeah.
Yeah,
wish
thanks,
you-
Jim.
Wish you guys a great week, and thank you
You
for
too.
coming every week.
Okay.
Okay. See you later.
Namaste.
Yes.
Namaste.
Namaste.
Bye bye.
Have a blessed, everybody.
Thank you,
Okay,
Rob.
good.